Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this meeting of the Warrant Committee. We have a few things we have to discuss. I am aware that our meeting minutes from Monday night's meeting have not yet been circulated, so we will suspend that item and look at it on Saturday if and when we meet, otherwise next Monday. We have our expectation for Cooking Company to come and give us their sense of the insurance issue that we face and how we arrived at this point. I know it's a little bit late in the game, but it's still always good to have some facts to play with. But we have reviewed the outstanding non-budget articles with the exception of the authorization to discharge the legislative committee. We're waiting for a piece of information. But there are some boilerplate, if you will, budget articles that we can walk through and approve now, which will save us some time going forward. And the wording for these rarely changes. So I think if we just walk through them, we can just see how far we get. And when Cook and Company, our consultants come, the insurance consultants come, we can, oh, you're here. Oh, how very nice. Thank you so much. I didn't think that you were. Well, by all means, since I know you have to go up to the, you have to go to the select board tonight. Yeah, please, by all means, come up, introduce yourselves, and welcome. I'm very sorry.
Not bad. I think one thing about, since you are meeting, you're meeting an executive session with the.
Yes.
So just, I guess, be careful that
Yes.
you don't compromise any
Right. Okay.
executive session.
Well, we have a bunch of questions for you nice people. First off is the methodology by which we have the appropriation that we have to vote on, and what we have considered kind of a surprising increase in the allocation for health insurance costs for the town. Amy, yes.
So if you're going to ask about the methodology, that's me.
Okay.
And then questions about the increase.
Well, come and join, because we can kill three birds with one stone. So we have Amy Dexter, the town accountant.
I'm Paige Eppolito, the assistant TA.
Hi, Paige.
And I'm Sue Shalhoub from Cook and Company.
Oh, thank you for coming. We're grateful for your time. Start with the methodology, and then we can work into some of the other issues that we are facing, because the justification, I mean, as we looked at the budget early on, I think we were kind of surprised at the magnitude of the increase. I think everybody was surprised at the magnitude of the increase and how much it put the budget out of kilter. Mm-hmm. So, fill us in.
Okay, so the methodology is to look at the census, the number of employees on family plans, the number of employees on individual plans, and project that out. Also included, besides just the medical insurance and that line item, is the cost of the Medicare, the employer Medicare match. That has increased significantly over the last couple of years. And then there's an additional component that's for Medicare for retirees. There's some, Paige might be able to explain that a little bit more, or Sue, but basically, there's a portion that we have to refund.
We reimburse 50% of the annual Medicare that our retirees pay to Social Security to be on A and B. It's a benefit that they've allowed.
So it's
the
contractual.
retirees. It's basically.
How long does that continue?
Until
Forever. They no longer have to be insured.
Until they pass.
Yes.
Right.
Does that, but I guess let me rephrase the question. That's available to current retirees and employees of the town now?
Absolutely, and future.
And future,
Yes.
forever. So anybody that comes in, we can't say, we think that's a stupid idea, don't do it anymore?
Well, no.
We can't say that.
Well, I mean,
It's too expensive for the town, let's come up with something else.
Well, keep in mind, too, that by having the employees on Medicare.
Yes,
And
saves
you
us.
force them to be on Medicare.
Yes,
it drives
it's
down
cheaper, it's a
cost of
cheaper
insurance.
plan.
But the reimbursement part of it
We're
is the part that I'm
reimbursing
talking
50%
about.
of what they pay, and they pay currently right now $125 a month for their Medicare.
So we're reimbursing
But
$600
$600 per person a
Around.
year,
Okay.
per retiree.
All right.
Yeah, but keep in mind, they were on an individual
That costs
Which was
plan
much more
before that
expensive.
costs more. So
Right,
once
right.
they hit 65 and go on Medicare, and then they can pay for their own supplemental plan if they want. But, so in the end, it sounds like we're refunding them, but in the end, it,
Actually saving us a little bit, got it.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
so basically, the budget that's presented in the request is a 16% premium increase. And that's based upon the level of claims that we've experienced, the level of claims we expect to experience in the fiscal year we're budgeting for. And because we're self-insured, we need to set the premium rates in order to cover the annual claims. Unfortunately, our claims have been really high. We do have stop loss. In the past, I think our stop loss was somewhere around 110,000. So if anyone's not familiar with that, is if an individual becomes ill and their annual claims reaches a certain dollar amount, stop loss insurance kicks in, and that stop loss insurance would cover anything above that threshold.
So it's 110,000?
It used to be 110, but we realized that our premiums, because we have so many people that were reaching that level, that those premiums for stop loss
Were
were
insufficient.
going crazy. So we increased it gradually over the last couple of years. So I believe it's a 130 now. So, so we also have, the stop loss insurance would be included in the general insurance budget, the premiums for that. So,
So that's Blue Cross,
no.
No, it's not Blue
Is
Cross
stop
that comes
loss
in?
is-
No.
It's with an outside
It's
company.
outside.
Yeah.
which is,
Who do we have now?
You bid it every year, it changes. Gerber.
Oh.
Gerber.
So,
Gerber Health Insurance? Are these the same people that do baby food?
Gerber Life
They do have an
Insurance.
insurance company.
insurance.
Yeah, they do have an
Okay.
insurance company. Gerber does it?
Yeah, they do.
Are they the most?
Usually for
I-
babies, but.
we go out to bid.
You go out to
It
bid
goes out
every
to
year.
bid and they
Yeah.
come in, and
Yes.
they're the most
They're-
reasonable?
There aren't a lot of companies out there that want to write municipal stop-loss insurance because you have a much older population
Yeah.
than the private sector.
So,
Okay, I'm sorry, keep going.
yeah, so, overall, the 16% is reflective of what is being recommended that we need to cover the costs. And the costs are somewhere in the range of $15 to $16 million a year. It's also designed to try to maintain the health insurance trust.
Okay, back up one second, Amy, I'm sorry. The cost, which is translated into the amount of claims?
Yeah, so so what we do is you look at the total, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sue, but you look at the total claims for the year, and then you design, because we're self-insured, on the active employee plans anyways, which is Blue Cross and Harvard Pilgrim, we set the rates. But you need to set the rates to cover your claims. Whereas on the retiree plans, Tufts and those companies set the rates.
Right.
So,
What is the cost of the retiree plans?
well, there's several different ones.
Okay,
Anywhere from like Tufts Medicare is $317 a month.
and these
for
are the
an
supplemental
individual.
ones?
Correct.
For Part B, Part A
Yeah,
and B? isn't it?
Correct.
The one we have the most on is Managed Blue for seniors. That's 213 retirees or their spouses. 400 and it's projected to be $477 a month in fiscal '20, and the town pays for 76%. So this group insurance budget not only covers active employees, but it covers retirees. And anytime somebody retires and we backfill it,
You're just adding.
it's not
So we're
like,
at 213 for retirees? Is that
oh,
what
no,
you
no,
said?
no,
Just in
that's
that
for
plan.
Oh, just
managed
in that plan. I'm
blue.
sorry.
Yeah.
Thank
On
you.
that plan.
But just based on these census numbers, it's, most of them are in that. So it's 213, there's another, so it's probably around 250 that are on, and they're all individual plans. I think there's a couple that have maybe unusual situations. I think we
They
had
could
one
be
that was on a
raising-
family, but that's
They
kind
could
of
be raising their
age.
grandchildren.
Yeah, they
Oh,
have
right,
like a
right.
dependent, but most of them are two individual plans. Because if they're married,
Yeah.
you can have two individual plans.
So here's my question. I know we've looked at this. I know, unfortunately, we're kind of late in the game. Is there a cheaper way to do this? That's the basic question. I think we'll
So-
hear this at town meeting, and we might as well be prepared for it now. Is this the most cost-effective to be self-insuring for this number of municipal employees, having this structure in place, and paying the premium that we are paying in light of all the changes that are happening in healthcare?
So I'm going to start, and then I'm
So,
going to turn it
so
over
that's,
to these guys.
that's going to be the, I'm sure that's going to be the
So-
overarching question that the town meeting is going to pass. I apologize if it sounds elementary, but that's what it boils down to.
So part of the reason why the claims and everything are so high is because our plans are very, very rich or
Generous,
generous
yes,
to
they're very
the
generous plans.
employees.
I understand that.
Low co-pays, little to no
And
deductibles.
that's terrific for the employees,
low
we all support that
prescription.
sort of thing, but in an environment such as we find ourselves, can we,
So-
I'll be the bad guy, and I'm sure I'm gonna have my tire slashed and my house spray painted for suggesting that we look at modifications, because we have all had modifications in our health plans where we're
So-
paying higher
That's what we're
co-pays,
looking at.
get permission to go here, there, and everywhere, and, effectively have to ask permission to get an aspirin.
So with that, I think Mike Dennehy may have touched on it the other night, the collective bargaining, I mean, we do have unions
Yes.
here, so the
Yeah,
collective
yeah.
bargaining agreements expire June 30th, but there can be no plan design changes until after December 31st. So the executive session that was mentioned is to talk about those
Yeah.
things. And there's a PEC, which is a
Public employee
Public
committee.
Employee Committee that's been, it has members, representatives of each of the collective bargaining unions and management and some people from the town, right? And that have been kind of talking about these things. And that's kind of where we probably need to stop. So we're looking into that. It's just not as easy as it would be
I
in the
understood.
private world.
No, I understand, and it's not going to be pleasant for anybody,
No.
because nobody likes to take things, and the costs are just, really, I'll speak for the committee, the cost really shocked us when we finally saw the number come through, and I know it's nobody's fault, because they mirror the facts.
Well, part of it too is the last several years, as part of the union agreements, we had negotiated a premium split, whereas more got shifted to the employees. So over the last couple years,
Yes.
some shifted to the employees, and now you have, so that would have absorbed some of the increases in the prior years.
Sure.
And now we don't have a change in split,
Yeah.
combined with
Higher levels.
increasing
Yep.
claims. Sue can talk about overall
Yep.
the medical industry, the costs are going up.
Absolutely.
So for the same
Yeah.
service, you've got some big increases there. So
Yes.
like I said, it's really not a product of anything. We're looking forward, not in
Yeah.
like looking forward, but we are forward looking at what can we do? We recognize this is a problem and that this can't be sustained.
Understood, and that's gratifying for us, because this is one of the unanticipated issues. I mean, we're looking obviously at the firehouse construction, we're looking at the school issue, which came up kind of quickly. This one was just like literally out of the blue.
And it was for me too, when
I
I
have
was
no
doing
doubt.
it, and I'm like to Paige,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
to Sue,
No, I
like,
get
what
that.
the
No, I
heck?
get that. Tom, did you have a
A
question?
bunch of them, yes. First of all, Amy, you had mentioned that the stop-loss insurance was not in the group insurance budget, but...
No, the premium.
The premium's actually built into the.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
Premium is in-
I was
That's
gonna
my
ask you
mistake.
where in the general
I'm
fund
sorry.
it was.
That
I'm
makes more
sorry.
sense.
'Cause I
Okay,
couldn't
good.
find
There was
it.
I guess
another-
I
yeah.
don't, like, it's down here.
So the
somewhere.
16% increase includes the
Yeah.
claims, the
Okay.
administration, and
So,
the
so,
reinsurance.
so what percentage of, any idea what percentage of this increase is a result of claims as opposed to the result of premium increases in the stop-loss?
Yeah, ballpark, about 90% of the costs are attributed to the claims.
Okay, so it's mostly claims?
Right.
Okay. What's, in your opinion, what's driving claims, an aging workforce, or?
It's an aging workforce, it's your plan design, which is very
Well,
rich.
yeah, because we're paying, first dollars come out of us, obviously.
Correct.
So any plan design changes that would push those things up directly 100% dollar to dollar benefit us.
Right, but it would have an effect in reducing the premiums, so both the town in your appropriation and the
And the
employees
employee
in their
would share,
payroll
yeah.
would see a savings.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
If you had to be looking forward to I'm sorry, did you have more questions?
Yeah, well, I guess my question is there any statistics, I mean, obviously, as the workforce ages out and retires, it generally is replaced by younger workers?
Well, but there's a difference with municipalities, because with municipalities, you have a workforce, you keep people on your health insurance forever.
Correct.
And you have a lot of employees who are eligible to retire prior to age 65, so they stay on your active plans.
Right.
And then once they hit age 65, if they're Medicare eligible, then they go on the supplement plan. And because Medicare is paying part of their claims, you do see a savings.
Yep.
But you do have a population that has retired and is still on your plan.
Another thing that we noticed in the last year or so was there's a lot of people that you can now keep your dependent on your family plan until they're 26.
Yeah.
And we've seen that.
It's happening much more.
So how we noticed was when all of a sudden our census started to go up and we're like, why are all these teachers all of a sudden coming on plans? Well, they're 26, they came off their mom and dad's plan, and we're like, okay, so that was I'm not saying that's a significant amount of money, but it was a significant increase in the census
exactly,
over
right,
the last
exactly
couple
right.
of years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think before you had to be a student to be covered, and you don't anymore. So that's had at least a small impact.
And
Yeah.
now, we don't cover retired teachers, is that correct? That's covered by
No,
Right.
Mass,
state.
that's Mass Teachers
Right.
Retirement.
We do get charged back in the,
In the assessment, the state assessment, yep.
okay.
So,
If you had to make recommendations for the least painful way to modify this over time and to obviate surprising increases of this nature, to the extent one can, I know actuarial issues are what they are, how would you go about doing it? I know it's a complex question, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you know much more about this than any of us around the table.
Yeah, I mean, I think in our discussions with the town, we really have to look at the plan design. Obviously, municipal benefits are different than private sector benefits, because I think all of us who are in the private sector probably have a $2,000 or $3,000 at least deductible. That's not necessarily the case in the public sector. However, under the statute that you negotiate with, you can negotiate up to the benchmark plan, which is a GIC, the state health insurance plan. Everything is benchmarked against that.
I see. And
so-
what is their, do they have something similar to the annual deductible for
They
families?
do have a
Is it in the
deductible.
same, it's not in the same magnitude, I'm guessing.
No, so the first version of the GIC deductible plan was a $250 deductible. The next version went up to $300, and it's currently at $500.
Oh, my goodness.
So
Wow.
that is a big change
So
when
there's
you're
a
coming
big-
from
there's
a
big
plan
jump
without
there.
any
So those of us who have been
deductible.
beneficiaries in private sector, I mean, it looks very generous, obviously. But of course, it's a perk that you offer to the people who are doing the work in the town to keep them happy, et cetera, et cetera. And we get that. I guess the question is going forward, do we expect, and here's another question which may be almost imponderable, do we expect an increase of this magnitude next year too? Is it conceivable? I mean, we were 11% last year, 16% this year. Do we see something like that conceivably? I know I'm putting you on the spot again, but I have a feeling these are questions that are going to be asked at town meeting too. And so,
Because your rates are based on your claims, at this point, a year and a half out, it's impossible to predict what will happen.
Right.
We also don't know what the benefit design will be
Right,
at the
it all
time.
depends on how the benefit plan.
assuming that the
design
benefit
changes.
design mirrors or reduces 5%, I can't imagine that, I'm
So
picking numbers
on
out
an
of the air.
average,
Yeah.
just health insurance alone, I believe Sue told us, for the past 3 years, those have gone up 8% each year.
8%.
That's the bottom line,
cost.
8%.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
just the
That's
trend.
just-
Yeah, I
trend.
mean, that's like quadruple inflation.
Yeah.
Wow. That's almost unsustainable, I think. I mean, to maintain at these levels. Wow. Do you have other municipalities facing these same issues?
Yeah, it tends to, I consult for about 50
Oh, wow.
municipalities.
Okay.
Not all of them are self-insured, but health insurance tends to be very cyclical.
Yeah.
So you can expect to get a few bad years. There's so many variables that come into play, what your benefit design is, when is the last time you made benefit changes, the health of your trust fund. So there's so many variables that it is difficult to compare one municipality to another, but they've all been here.
So if, in the case of the other municipalities who do not self-insure, what sort of options do they offer to their employees? And is it generous? Is it comprehensive enough that they're happy? I know everybody's different, but just in your experience, having seen such a broad cross-section of municipalities, I'm interested.
Yeah, the benefits really don't have anything to do with whether you self-insure or whether you're fully insured on a premium arrangement. That's just the mechanism for funding the program. Generally, for a group of your size, you are better off self-insuring because it's less expensive for you to take the risk than for the insurance company to take the risk.
So theoretically, if we had everybody insured by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, we would be conceivably paying more?
There's a good chance you'd be paying more. Correct.
That's very interesting. I guess this would be something that we would.
You have to go in with other
Related
groups.
to other
Yes.
groups.
Yeah,
You'd
so-
have to combine yourself with another, like West Suburban has a bunch of municipalities in it, and that's how they get their.
Oh, like in a cooperative sort of a
Yes.
thing.
Right,
Yes,
there
and
are,
that's-
there are
that's-
joint purchase
There are.
groups.
Both large companies, like my company's publicly traded and we're self-insured.
Yeah.
Almost, I don't want to say almost everybody, but it's rare
If you're
to
large
be-
enough,
If you're large.
yeah, because what happens when you're fully insured, the carrier takes all the risk.
Right.
So they're building a risk premium or risk factor into that premium rate. And that risk factor tends to be a lot more than if you take the risk by purchasing stop-loss insurance.
So in that regard, it's keeping us from going really over the edge with increases, having the stop loss in case.
Oh,
In
Yeah,
place.
definitely.
yes, for sure.
Yes.
Do we have, what kind of wellness programs do we have to incent the employees to
We
better
have,
minimize?
we have reimbursement, health and, gym memberships,
Yeah.
$150 per person. We also have $150 for Weight Watchers. We have a good,
Anything
this,
that's really engaging to kind of, get them really invested in.
so the schools have,
utilization?
like, I think the schools have their own wellness programs, but it's all through, like, we get them through Maya, through our insurance, and it's all of, it's, if you can find the time to, organize something to get people involved, we probably should take more advantage of those separate, I do push the gym memberships reimbursement, and Weight Watchers, we got everybody to get reimbursed for Weight Watchers, and,
And wellness programs are great to offer. It's a good, feel-good benefit. I don't think there's any data out there to show that you would see significant decreases in your claims activity. I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm not stating data, I think sometimes when you offer wellness programs, it's the healthy people who take advantage of them as well, so you don't necessarily see a return.
I presume that when you put this plan together, that the administrative fee is negotiated in an aggressive way, in a regular way.
Yeah, so you do pay an administrative fee to both Blue Cross and Harvard Pilgrim to administer the plan. For, I think, 4 or 5 years, Blue Cross didn't even
Didn't
have an
change it.
increase in their admin fee. Now we see 1 or 2% a year. It's not
Minimum.
drastic.
Can I just
Please.
ask a quick one? I know you don't have an answer to this, but when somebody goes to go for a job, they look at the entire package, so it's their salary, their benefits, all of that. If we do decrease the coverage or put more of the onus on the employee, is there a possibility that we could see the salaries needing to be higher? So we're not really gonna see a ton of savings. It's just a possibility.
Well, yes, it's a possibility, but just my personal opinion.
Please.
I came from the private world to here. I took a $20,000 pay cut when I came. Because I live in town and my kids go to school here
Right.
and what a great commute. But there's good benefits and
Yeah.
good work hours, that kind of stuff. I will be affected by any change.
Right.
But I also know I can go take my kid up to the emergency room for a cold and pretty much not have to pay anything.
Right, that's pretty good.
So habits will have to change for my
Right.
family. I've already started using Braintree Urgent Care because I can go there for my $20 copay, which is super cheap, And if it's something serious, they can send me there. But I think habits will have to change. And,
Education.
yeah, you could potentially, but even to attract somebody from another municipality,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
from
still
the
have a better
data
plan.
Sue has,
We do.
Okay.
Even I
we
think
are
with any
rich
changes we
compared to
make.
other
Yeah.
one of
Very
the top.
Okay,
Can you
definitely.
talk
Thank you.
about that a little, or us against the benchmark, and if I missed this, like 30% more better, how, what's this, give me some, like,
So just if we compare your current plan to the current GIC benefit plan, it's about a 10 or 11% differential.
Could you share with them that other community, do you remember, I think Jill put together a list, you might not have it with you, and if not, we could send it. Jill put together a list that compared Milton to other communities in Massachusetts that we usually compare ourselves to, and I think it was mainly Cook and Company clients to say, where does our plan design? How does it measure up to these other communities that we like to compare ourselves to, right? To see, are we better than Arlington?
We were
Are
better
worse?
than Arlington, which
Yeah,
was
are
a
we
shocker.
better than?
Well,
Wellesley?
Arlington's in the GIC.
Right,
So
right,
you're
yeah, right,
light
that's-
years better than
yeah.
Arlington.
So I think, to answer your question, when you're trying to recruit from another, if you're trying to trying to compete or recruit from the private industry, your salaries are never gonna measure up.
No.
They're just not.
No.
You don't come here to get rich. You don't work here to get rich. It's
Right.
more a quality of life kind of thing. If if you're recruiting from another municipality,
Yeah,
salaries are comparable.
Okay.
Health insurance is rich.
okay.
So that's just my personal opinion. I
Yeah.
haven't done any studies, but just from what I've seen.
So you say 90% of the increase is claims, not training. And have there been, and is there any information on, has there been an uptick in the dollar amount of claims? Or is it, as Amy said, that we've been working from an 80%, 80-20 split to a 74, whatever the math is on that split, over the past 3-4 years? And that's been subsidizing part of
Yeah,
those
but-
increases?
Yeah, but not a lot of it, right? If it's only moving 2% a year, I think it was 2% a year.
Right, 2%.
Okay.
So that would have been some of it. It's
So-
mostly
It's
claims.
claims,
We have a
it
lot
is
of-
claims,
So it's claims.
unfortunately, it's claims.
A
So-
lot of people with high
We have,
claims.
yes.
Okay, I mean, I'm not sure the workforce is necessarily all that much older than it was
I don't know
4
that
years
it's
ago.
older,
They're
I think
more
it's
sicker.
sickly.
Well, why is it sicker, I guess? is
Well,
the
I
guess you
don't
can't-
know, I
And-
can't
and
tell you
is
that, I
that-
can't tell
is
you
that
that.
cyclical? I mean, it is, in other words, you would expect the same size workforce that, tends to turn over a bit to be basically the same amount of sick from year to year to year. You know?
And again, it is cyclical, and I would say it's easier now for people to have large claims, but not large enough that they hit the stop-loss level, and then you see reimbursements. So oftentimes, we see a lot of claims in, the $75,000 to $100,000 range. And we
Sure,
see a
somebody has
lot of
major
those.
surgery
because-
or something
not-
like that.
Yeah, and not even.
Doesn't even have to
It's
be that
pretty
major to
easy.
get there.
It's
I know.
pretty
Have a baby.
easy to hit that
Yeah,
level
sure.
these
Yeah.
days,
cost more.
whereas
Yeah.
it used to not be.
Right.
Yeah,
Has
yeah, yeah.
anybody done any analysis on like elective type procedures that are done? Are we seeing an uptick there versus, like things that you really have to do?
Yeah, I
Well,
I
don't know
haven't
if we
seen
could-
anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't,
yeah.
I
If we
couldn't, yeah.
should be
yeah.
looking at it like that
Right.
because of
But not person to
HIPAA
person,
and-
just in the mass.
Yeah, I have not seen any reports to show that.
But that's around plan design, right? Like what's included in
Right.
what isn't.
I think one of the issues is not necessarily that people old or sick or using, I think it's a question of, are they taking advantage of what the plan offers?
Yes,
And they
I think
are.
they are.
I mean, to Amy's point, if you're going to you're going to the emergency room for a cold,
Right.
is that the best use? I mean, I don't know that I could do that on my plan, for example.
So on our plan right now, it's $100 emergency room deductible. you shouldn't really have to go unless it actually is an emergency, and
Right.
if people are using it for colds, well, if we put
I
that
don't know, that was an
deductible.
exaggeration.
I
don't think they're using it for
Well, you know, it's
Right.
easy to run across the street
But
to
the-
Milton,
the-
correct? But if we up the deductible to $500,
Right.
people are gonna stop and thinking, all right, I go to urgent care, I'll go to my
Yep.
primary
Well,
care.
I mean,
it's just
many
little
private plans
That
are at
changes.
500 for that.
Yeah.
Deductible.
Deductible.
Not a
Yes.
code, there is no
It's a
code.
copay.
Oh,
It's a
copay,
copay.
copay.
It comes out, if you get admitted, I think.
If
It
right,
comes out.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
it
I have
comes
a
out.
question for you. In the commercial world, my plan used to look like that, and it doesn't anymore, right? So there's been a pretty rapid shift. Is that happening in the municipal world at all? There's no indication. That's too
The
bad.
highest deductible you'll see. Well,
Because of the
let me back
salaries,
up.
and I
I'm gonna-
understand that,
I am
yeah.
gonna back up.
There are no
For
health
the
savings
traditional plans, the highest deductible at this point that you'll see is a $500 deductible. Municipalities are starting to talk about and introduce a high deductible plan with a health savings account, which is more like a $2,000, $4,000 deductible, which is what all of us are probably more used to. So those are starting to be introduced as an option, not as a total replacement.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I guess my fear, even with plan design, if you make some major modifications in plan design, you get that, again, 1-year benefit, but if it's claims that are driving it, you save that 1 year, but then you start to see the spike again.
Well, you will see the spike. It does bring the base down, so
Right.
even if you're having the same increase, you're still a little bit lower. But certainly, in reference to Amy's point, as you start introducing higher co-payments,
You
you
drive people
do
in a better
see
direction.
behavioral changes.
Yes.
Now, you don't want to get it to the point where people don't get services
Right.
because
Of
it's too
course.
expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's definitely a fine line.
Yeah. Wow, okay, lots to think about. Have any more questions? I know you're under time pressure, I don't want to keep you, and we certainly don't want to delay you to the executive session, I know that's very important.
I just have one more
Go ahead,
question.
Tom, please.
Hopefully it's a quick one. In terms of our trust fund, this increase would, I know it's always an estimate, but this increase would fund it to 100% of maximum healthy, and what percentage are we now?
So I did an analysis, which you don't have that.
I
do you?
do.
So I did a down and dirty projection, where we would be at the end of, this fiscal year 19
Yep.
with the, 16%, premium increase, and I think right now, I think we're projected to be around 20, this isn't the one.
That's not it.
No, I have a different one.
That's what we used.
Oh,
That's
okay,
the same.
I have one that doesn't have the IBNR in it, so it looks a little
Okay.
odd. So
Okay.
it's recommended that you maintain a balance in the trust that's anywhere from 20 to 30% of your annual claims. At the end of 18, at the end of 19, we're projected before the IBNR. IBNR is incurred but not recorded.
Yep.
So it's kind of like your accrual for claims that you haven't paid yet. It's somewhere close to 20%. Factoring in the IBNR, it's 15%. So we look at it, I look at it differently than Cooking Company, because in my mind, I've got last year's IBNR claims and this year.
Yep.
So if I deduct it out again, it's kind of double counting it. But, so it's to the point where it's deteriorated over the last several years.
Is it still in a healthy position? Are we at risk for not being able to meet any obligations?
You can meet your obligations.
Okay.
Yes.
From a risk perspective, you don't want it going lower.
Any lower than where it
Than
is
where we are,
now?
yeah.
Yes.
So we're bouncing, we're scraping the bottom now, is what you're, what
So
I'm
you're saying with
understanding.
this 16% increase, if we budget it at what we have here, we'll get up to 20%, or this will maintain the
We'll
15%?
maintain the 15, including the IBNR.
Yeah.
The 16% rate increase is projected to cover your costs for the
To
year.
break even, basically.
Not
for
drawing out of the
2020.
trust and not
So not
adding.
making the trust healthier, just
Correct.
covering.
So we're not compromising the trust, we're maintaining it at what you would consider a minimum safety level.
And is that based upon last year's claims or an average of claims over a period of time?
We generally will look at 2 years of claims and trend that forward to next year for our projections.
Okay.
Plus the
Just-
increase in medical costs in general.
Yeah.
Which runs
is all
at, which
factored
runs at
into
anywhere
that.
between 5 and 7%?
Probably closer to 8%.
8% this year?
When you
Okay.
combined medical and pharmacy trends.
Oh, yes.
It's right around 8%.
It's probably gonna go up.
Hmm?
Probably go up even more next
I
year.
think so,
With the
yeah.
pharmacy trends, I mean, it's.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much. This has been helpful. Amy, can we ask you for one more thing that's not related to health? Can you send a list of the capital items that we have to vote on?
I have it.
Just as a,
Oh, no, I don't have the right one.
right, let's just,
It's in the draft of the warrant.
okay, we haven't voted it yet, but I just wanted it broken out just for me. But if you can send that to me, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, so is a draft of the article okay?
Do we have it?
Capital article.
We have the capital article. But,
Do we have a
the
draft of the warrant?
We don't have an
We don't have
index.
a draft.
We've been working on it.
Yeah.
It's not like it hasn't been started. We've been
Yeah, yeah,
working,
but
we've been
we-
working together on it.
Yeah, we kind of need to see it.
Yes, I can send
If you can do
you-
that, that'd be very
So
helpful
can-
because we have to vote it.
I'm not sure if I know what you mean when you say capital. So is that part of the authorization to discharge? No, sorry, the bond authorization?
No, it looks like, I'll show you what it
It
looks
was
like.
in
Article
the
6.
draft I
Yeah.
originally sent you.
Yeah.
It was like Article 4 or
It's
5.
Article
It
5
says
last year.
capital equipment appropriation.
Right, yeah, that's what it looks like. It's a
But in the
list
last
of,
draft, it was gone. That's what I'm saying, what
Yeah.
happened to it. It was deleted.
so we'd like to see it because
Yeah.
we do have to do this between
Okay, I
today,
can-
tomorrow, today, Saturday, and Monday next. We have to get these done. We
Okay.
don't have a
Yeah.
choice.
So the
And I
selectmen
have-
have approved that at this point?
They've approved the general fund one. I was supposed to present the enterprise fund one tonight, but they don't have a quorum to vote on it.
Oh, really?
So, because Katie has to recuse herself, because she works for bond counsel,
Okay,
so
right.
I'm gonna go on the 27th. And then, just to set the stage, Michael and I have been revisiting the trash bin thing, so that could potentially change. We're looking for outside funding
Revenues,
for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well, outside in the form of a donation or whatnot. We have half of it covered through a rebate that we have for recycling that
Right.
could cover it. But that could potentially be on the agenda for the 27th of March, which could change that article, change the capital article. So we're gonna have to go with the print the way it is and probably have an insert.
We'll do what we have to do.
But if we can get that funded, then that could potentially increase the trash revenues
Right,
for
and
the year,
and reduce what we have
150,000.
to, reduce what we have to skewer away.
Yeah, and
It'd be
then,
nice, but it would be nice if we could know that
well,
sooner rather than
we've already
later.
got answers that we don't need like any kind of town meeting vote or anything to do it. We can just send out a bill. So that
Okay.
was the big thing.
Yeah, that's good, but again.
I'm pretty sure that that was
If
the
that,
final outcome of
but
it.
to have that in the number that we don't have to cut from the budget would be very, very nice. Because
Yes.
we're still a few $100,000 away from where we need to be.
Yes.
And every little bit helps. And we
Yes.
don't want to be counting lunch change to pay salaries.
Right, so we're revisiting that, even though the first pass was like, oh, it can be deferred a year, and then when we really started talking about it, is like, if we could free up some of the free cash to pay the other half.
Perfect.
Or
Yeah.
find ideally an
Yeah.
outside funding source where it doesn't affect,
Even better. Yep.
yeah, so we're
Okay.
working on
We'll
that.
look forward to getting that.
Okay.
These little bits are becoming important
Yep.
as we come down
Yep.
to the wire. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Paige. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. We're grateful for your time.
Check your email. I think I just sent it to you. If you can confirm it, I can send it out to the committee right now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so, that was very helpful. I think that the select board has they have some interesting issues that they're going to have to confront. And I think we'll probably be hearing a little bit about that as time goes on also. But as we continue to look at our non-budget, our budget articles, there are several of them that are boilerplate, which we can actually walk through where language doesn't change, and we can take votes on this, so it reduces the number of votes we really have to, talk about this Saturday, and if we have a Saturday meeting, and next Monday. And so if we start at the top, we can just run through them relatively straightforwardly and easily.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 we can do.
Yeah, the first article is to hear report of the town officers, and let me just read that out. It's relatively easy. Article 1, to hear, huh?
Do you have text of any of these in the shared file?
No, you
No.
could probably throw them up on the screen.
But
Just in
the,
case
Yeah,
you
the
can just read them out.
the
But if
perfunctory
we have
ones I'll just
problem-
read, we don't have to waste time on
If we
those.
have problem with
This
it.
one is Article 1, to hear and act upon the report of the town accountant and other town offices and committees submitted by the Board of Selectmen.
So moved.
The purpose of this is an annual
open
town report that comes out every year. It's about that thick. It's, about every department. It's required by law to have an annual report every year. This is an article for town meeting to accept that annual report. That's all it does.
Don't we get it mailed to us?
It is mailed,
Yeah.
every year.
So we get that.
Yeah. Okay,
So
so
moved.
that's it. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Article 1 is approved. We're on the way, guys. We have 4 articles of the 36 approved. I think we're making progress.
Better than none.
No question about that. The second article authorized the treasurer to collect taxes, and it reads, to see if the town will vote to authorize the collector of taxes to use all means of collecting taxes which a town treasurer, when appointed collector, may use, submitted by the Board of Selectmen. Very straightforward. We're basically telling the town it can collect taxes.
Good.
Recommend town vote yes.
Second.
Any discussion? All
Is
in
that
favor?
gonna have to
Aye.
be changed if the tax collector becomes an unappointed
No.
position?
No,
because
no,
it's still
just to
treasurer.
double
No,
check.
but-
Yeah.
no, I would, no.
Just to
it's-
double
He's still a
check.
treasurer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So he still has to fulfill his duties
Yep.
as a treasurer. He's just appointed, not elected, that's all.
The third article is to authorize the treasurer to enter into compensating balance
Did we
agreements.
vote on that one?
Huh?
I interrupted you, but did we finish the vote?
Yes, we did. We
Yeah.
voted.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Article 3, to see if the town will vote to authorize the town treasurer to enter into compensating balance agreement during the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2019, in accordance with the provisions of general laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, and to act on anything relating thereto, submitted by the Board of Selectmen. Compensating balances are held by banks for various facilities that are provided, loan facilities, cost of doing business, generally
Services.
services, et cetera.
You get
have to-
services
yeah,
in return for
right, you do.
compensation.
And they usually, they can be non-interest bearing. That's the only kick, but I don't believe the towns are non-interest bearing. They're low interest bearing, but they are compensating balances. So again, this is a boilerplate. It's straightforward.
So moved.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, so the next one that we can do too is the next one on here is the authorize the discharge of legislative committee. We're waiting for a piece of information before we vote on that
Yeah.
one.
I think what the issue maybe on that one is this thing probably goes back to Mass Municipal Association. And now we have the Mass Municipal, which actually has a lobbyist.
MMA, yeah.
And is looking out for all towns. So it's kind of perfunctory on,
It's redundant.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think they've met in forever.
The legislative committee?
So if you want to vote it, I would give you
Website
that
just
as
says it's
an
town
answer
council's.
why it's not necessary. It's up to you.
If we could
I'd be more than
That's the
happy to
case.
vote it. I think it's really okay. if we
It's
do
fine.
this.
I just would like to say, on the microphones, it would be nice if we had more information from our legislative delegation. Period.
I think that's fine, and I don't disagree, and I think we put it in the minutes, and they see that. I know for a fact that our representatives do listen and watch, and they read the minutes, so I
Perfect.
think they'll get that message very wise, and they're very responsive and responsible people.
Well, we've been very lucky over
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
past several years that
Absolutely.
our state senators lived in the town.
Yeah,
So he
and
is
they have been very
approachable in that
effective.
sense.
Brian, God rest his soul, was very effective for Milton, and I know Walter Timilty does a tremendous job, and he's very much of an advocate for the town. So we're lucky in that respect. I agree with that. Okay, so we'll vote on the authorization to discharge the legislative committee. We had a reading on this. Does anybody need a refresh, or are we okay? So do we have a motion to approve Article 4?
I will make a motion to recommend that the town vote to rescind the Article 4.
To discharge the legislative committee?
yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Article 4 is voted. Capital equipment appropriation, this is what we just asked Amy for, the itemization, we'll get that and then we can vote on it. The audit appropriation is,
Voted.
Article 5, let me just look for the language.
It's
Oh, here we go. To see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate to the Board of Selectmen for the purpose of conducting municipal audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019, and further to see if the town will vote to authorize the committee appointed pursuant to Article 14 of the 1978 Annual March Town Meeting, the Town Audit Committee, to make recommendations to the selectmen relative to the employment of a certified public accountant for the foregoing purpose and to act on anything relating thereto. We generally recommend this. And the appropriation, recommended appropriation for this fiscal year is $63,000, and for fiscal year '20 was,
It's 72,800, but it will be broken out, so we should read, recommend that the town authorize the, I make a motion to recommend that the town authorize the town audit committee to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen relevant to the appointment of certified public accountant for the purpose of this article, and that the town appropriate the amount shown in the following tabular under recommended FY '20. General audit, $58,000.
or 20.
Yes. General audit, 58,000, GASB 67, 68, 5,000, GASB valuation, 9,800, for a total of 72,800.
Okay.
And that to meet such appropriation, the sum of 72,800 should be raised from the tax levy.
Okay, can you, did you get all of that? Because otherwise, we would have to ask you to send it so we can have it incorporated into the recommendation. I just want to make sure that we get it all.
Remember, we're voting the recommendations,
Yeah,
not the,
yeah.
so that's why it's
Okay.
important.
So we'd have to have the recommendation.
Vote the recommendation,
right.
not the article.
Right.
Right. The recommendation would have to highlight exactly the 58,000 for the general audit.
It's
and
in the budget.
Okay, but we'd have to make sure that that's in the recommendation.
Yes.
It's drafted.
Yes.
Okay, just put that in
So-
there to make sure.
Okay.
Okay, so
So
we
it would
have
have to
that.
be in that the tabular form that's in the budget like that.
Well, the recommendation would come from a warrant committee member,
Correct.
not
Right,
from me.
Right.
So
No, well, the
we're-
recommendation actually comes from the town council,
Oh,
and we do the
sure.
commentary. He actually sends
No,
us.
no, not true.
In this case.
Our recommendation, not theirs. I
Okay.
mean, they might write it.
They
We're the
will
ones
give
that-
us the boilerplate language
Yeah,
for some of these.
but it will be in the same,
Same format.
Format as
Yeah,
that,
yeah. This
which
last
is-
year's
which
said
is
the
what I
same
did.
thing, same thing.
Yeah.
So we just have the tabular budget, which we should have also at that point. Okay, seeing as how we have that, do we have a motion to approve?
He moved, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Article 1 through 6, or Article, what are we doing now?
8 we can't do, that's employee benefits, that includes health insurance. 9's unemployment, we could do unemployment, I don't think that's gonna
Unemployment,
change.
yep. To see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate to reimburse the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Division of Employment Security for benefits paid for former employees of the town and to act on anything related thereto. Recommended the town appropriate the amounts shown in the following tabulation under the heading recommended FY '20, which is for this year,
100,000.
100,000, similar, exact to last year. Do we have any?
And to meet said appropriation, the sum of 100,000 be raised from the tax levy.
Exactly right. So the tax would be basically level from last year. It increased the year before. 2018, it was the cost, the actual cost was 65,853 in 2018, and actuals for 2017 was 77,453. So it's been an interesting trend line. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unemployment benefits, union wage set aside?
Yeah, we could do that. I don't think that's gonna change.
I think we can do that one. Let me get to the language on that. That's public safety.
Which one is it? 7.
It's 7, right. Okay. And it reads, to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate for the purpose of funding cost items not in departmental budgets for the 12-month period beginning July 1, 2019, for collective bargaining agreements reached before or after this town meeting between the town and bargaining units representing town employees, such sums to be allocated to departments and to act on anything related thereto, submitted by the Board of Selectmen.
And I will make a motion to recommend that the town appropriate the amount of $325,846 under this article, and that that said appropriation, and to meet said appropriation, the sum of $325,846 $25,846 be raised from the tax levy.
Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just for anybody, that's basically a 2%.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen how that number was actually arrived
Yeah.
at, but I'll take their word for
At
the,
this point, yes. So, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Very good, so that is we have Articles 1 through, we have 8, and 9 we did, Chapter 13, position classifications and
I
wage
don't know if anything's
increase.
changed.
I did not, I'm not aware that anything, let me get that.
That one I would hold off on.
Yeah. Okay,
Plus, I think that one also has the Chapter 13 employees in it with the recommended.
okay, all right, the rest of them, I think, I'm trying to think if there are any others we can go through.
That's all right.
Blue Hills Regional Tech, 28. We have the dollar figure, do we not?
Did they come in for any kind of a,
An increase?
no, did they come in for any
Oh,
presentation?
yeah, they presented.
They
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were very, yeah, they came in, they were very concise.
They were
very
the
good.
first one.
Yeah, yeah, and we, in fact, we made the case that we needed them to come in, because last year they didn't come in until almost at the very end, and it was a little problematic. Okay, so, Blue Hills Regional Tech School Appropriation, do we have the language available on that one?
Yeah, sure we do. I don't know the amount, but
And that's what I have to go back and see, because
it's
I did
Article
not.
27 in this warrant.
Asking for, let me pull that out.
627. The article is to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate for the support of the Blue Hills Regional Technical School for the 12-month period beginning July 1, 2018.
Right.
And to act on anything relating thereto. And
Pull out their number. Because
I
we,
have it in this one, 799,646.
that's what I have, that's right there. Okay,
And is it just a one-line assessment?
yes, as far
Okay.
as I know.
So I make a motion to recommend that the town appropriate the amount shown in the following tabulation under heading recommend FY '20, Blue Hills Regional Tech School assessment, $799,646. And to me, set appropriation, the sum of $799,646 be raised from the tax levy.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, next. I think the majority of the rest of them are going to be still subject to modification.
Maturing debt, I suppose.
Maturing debt we
Maturing
could.
debt's maturing debt.
Yeah.
It's not gonna change.
No, that's-
hope.
It just
no, I'm
matures.
looking- I'm
I
just
don't know if you have a
looking-
number for it, that's all.
That's, I think
That's
it
your,
is
school
included in,
That's what you get from the.
Well, I've got the interest number, but, oh no, that's the interest, but I don't have the breakout as how much is interest and how
Right.
much is principal.
that's what I'm looking for.
I might have it someplace.
If you find it, then we can vote on it, because that would be helpful.
Let's see.
Chapter 90 is all the way. Chapter 70 is the school. I think, or it's the opposite. I'm tired. And it's so hot in here.
The old article number on that is, maturing debt is, what's 30 this year, and last, in 2018, it was 29.
Yeah, let me get to I got an amortization schedule here.
Okay, good.
See if it actually ties to the,
We only have 36, I just want to highlight, we have 36 warrant articles this year for the annual town meeting. Last year we had 55.
Well, we have. Yeah, but last year we had money.
like 20,
Yeah, we had money.
Thank you for
Yeah.
noting that.
Yes, yes.
Takes just as
Yes.
long.
Yes.
Very interesting.
let's see, FY '20. No, my schedule is just, it doesn't include the,
So we don't have the total, we don't have the maturing debt, we don't have the
I think this
current
might be
portion.
it. Is this correct?
that is, Okay, yeah, we can assume that's, let's see, 4,760,000, let's see if that ties to the spreadsheet. 4,764,38?
That's it.
Yep, okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Tom, do you
so
want to
I'll
read that out?
I'll make a motion to recommend the town appropriate the amount shown in the following tabulation under heading recommend FY '20, interest and maturing debt. Interest in the amount of $994,201, and maturing debt in the amount of $3,766,237, for total interest and maturing debt of $4,760,438. And to meet said appropriation, and let's hope this is right, the sum of $200,000 be raised from funds certified by the Department of Revenue as free cash, to be raised from and released from the overlay reserve, and $4,360,438 be raised from the tax levy.
What was that
So-
figure, 436?
4,360,438 from the tax
438,
levy.
got it.
200,000
From the
to be,
general, from free cash?
Free cash
General
to be
tax
raised
levy.
from funds released from overlay reserve.
Okay. We have a motion.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? This is what we have to pay. It's like paying your mortgage.
Yep.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think
That's probably about it.
that's about all we can do until we see the final numbers.
When?
We're supposed to see them
Saturday?
but before Saturday.
Anything I've got
We're
APP.
supposed to see them before
Probably
Saturday.
by Saturday.
I'm guessing that we'll see, they'll kind of limp along. I know they're working very diligently on
Well, I'm
this.
sure they are.
I know that in the school committee, so we effectively took, out of the 36 that we have, we approved 10. So we'll have 26 to vote on between Saturday and Monday. If the municipal gods smile upon us, we might be finished on Saturday, so we know we will not need a meeting on Monday, if we're lucky. I would like to have that happen because I really think we need to get drafting, because it has to be in no later than the end of the week. We have to get these things done, and we don't have a choice
At all the we need to have all of our recommendations drafted by the 22nd,
at the latest.
at the latest,
At
to
the
Lynn,
latest.
at the latest.
And before too, so she doesn't get overwhelmed. She's gonna get swamped,
She's gonna get, yeah,
and we can't have that.
too late.
She's way too nice.
Now, a lot depends on Saturday whether the town administrator actually comes in with a balanced budget
Right.
or.
So stay tuned. If
the
they are not
calendar
there, we will
looks
have the
like
meeting
Friday.
Monday. We'll go through the articles. That's
And
just going to be
assign-
up and down at that point because there's nothing left to be done.
Well, I think what you'd want to do on Saturday, if it's not a balanced budget, is deal with the imbalance and hash out, if it's going to get thrown in our lap, hash out.
Where it's going to
What
come
are
out,
our-
Where it's gonna
the
come out.
remaining 600,000, where it's going to come out
Right,
of.
whether you do it as a percentage of, however you. however
Everybody
you
gets cut
vote
back
to do it.
ratably.
And then you present that to the town administrator and have them come back on Monday and how you're going to allocate it
down.
between.
You do it.
Yeah.
And just tell the printer to hold the presses until we fix this and get it out.
Hopefully they'll have something, because the finance committees,
Of the schools
Of the
and the
school
town,
and
they're
the
all
town are
meeting.
meeting Friday.
I know, they're all meeting, they're all trying to get this done. I think we're all pulling
Friday
Well,
together.
hopefully they will come back with.
Yes.
Here's how we want to do it.
A balanced budget.
Here it is balanced.
but I
Yeah.
agree, if they don't, we need
They
to
don't,
make a
we'll need to
decision,
do it,
make a
so.
proposition, say
Yeah.
up or down.
So I hate to
And
keep
you just-
everybody.
You just want to understand the impacts, that's
Right,
all.
Yeah.
right,
In
right,
case you
right.
want to change
And
anything.
that's why I think your question of impact statements was
that
very
was-
timely. That was very
yes.
good. So I
Mr.
think-
Chair, are
yes,
you
ma'am.
gonna go through and assign who's doing each article?
We can, if you would like, that would be helpful. We don't have our entire membership here, which is going to be tough,
No,
but.
we could do it on Saturday as well. I
can-
just wanted to know
Yeah, I would.
if that
pref-
was your plan.
I would prefer to do it on Saturday.
That's
when
fine with me,
We
I
hope
don't
to
care.
have at least a few people. I know, Tom, you can't be here.
Right.
Is there anybody else who knows they can't be here? Because if that's the case, I will ask you to volunteer to do a couple. And then we'll fill them in as we go. Some of them are very.
I'll do DPW and general government anyway.
All right, if you want to put that, Lynn, keep track of this for me, please. Tom, DPW, General Government. Okay. Thank you. That's good help. Okay, we got a letter, so we agreed I guess we will meet at 10 in the Center on Aging on Saturday at 10. We'll try to do it quickly. I will do my very best to get us out of there. as quickly as possible on Saturday. I know we all have things to do. We did receive a letter, I did want to bring this up under new business, from a member of the Friends of the Blue Hills Parkway. And he addressed this letter to the Warrant Committee members. Did everybody receive it?
Yes.
Did you ever read it? Let me read it out. It has come to our attention that the library trustees are requesting to have the Kidder property article added to the now closed warrant for the May town meeting. Given the outpouring of concerns and the mixed opinions and ideas that emerged on the future of Kidder at our last town meeting, we respectfully ask that you deny the library request and vote to postpone this article. To date, little opportunity has been allotted to discuss other options for the Kidder with Milton constituents. I don't know about that one. As members of the neighborhood group, the Friends of the Blue Hills Parkway, we feel Parkway neighbors, as well as town citizens and officials, need more time for adequate discussion and exploration of options, which would allow, among other things, sufficient time for the Discovery Schoolhouse organization to raise funds and/or establish a secure future for the school and its important work in our community, and for the assurance that the beautiful Kidder Library building remains a permanent feature on a historic parkway. Also, given some of the legal questions raised recently and at town meeting on the sale of this legacy property, we believe more time is needed for a careful and responsible exploration of the future of the Kidder building and land. The potential relinquishing of a town asset and the permanence of such an action merit the utmost carefulness, we feel respectfully, and he signed it. 2 people signed it, in fact, 3 people signed it, who are members of this group. Our sense is that we don't have any control over what the selectmen choose to open the warrant and put into it. If we need to consider it, we'd have to consider it very fast. I guess I would disagree a little bit with some of the statements in here. To date, little opportunity has been allotted to discuss other options for the Kidder with Milton constituents. I think quite the reverse. I think there have been many options that the group and perhaps some of the residents have not been aware of them, speaks to other issues, but I would take real serious issue that they have not had a chance to speak their minds. And certainly at town meeting, there was no limit and there was no limit placed on what they wanted to say, and there was certainly a great opportunity for them to come forward. And certainly the Discovery Schoolhouse, I believe, has been aware of what has been in the offing for quite a while. I would think that it is their responsibility to come up with options, not the town's responsibility. So I'm not sure exactly how to address this, other than also to say that legal questions that have been raised at the town meeting were raised by this committee, raised by the library trustees, and addressed by the town council and the select board several times at several meetings. So I don't know if I agree with that statement per se. I think reading the minutes of our meeting and addressing these with the select board is probably going to satisfy some of those issues, because we certainly looked into the trust, we looked into the terms of the gift, we looked into what the proceeds could be used for, and it's in our minutes, and it has been clearly stated by town council as well. So we're happy to share that information as needed, but that these issues have not been addressed, I do not also believe is completely accurate. So for the record, none of us really wants to see a town asset going, but I think for those of us who have identified this asset as costing more than intended for the town to maintain is another issue that has been brought up. So we'll leave it to the select board to determine whether or not this article is going to be placed in warrant, if they're going to reopen it or not, and then at that point we'll make some determination as to how we want to proceed. But I wanted you all to be aware that this has been received and to acknowledge it publicly so that we can move forward if the time and the situation presents itself. So if that's the case, I think we've done just about all we can do at this point, and I thank you all very much for your time. Is there any other new business that has to come before us before we adjourn? If none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you all very much, and again, I'm very grateful for your dedication.
Is there another new article on silver?